beneath the deeper skin of mine, of how I perceive an understanding of human emotions, or a conflict of interest, where I feel personally that I never belong, and feel as if I am an outsider, an outcast of sorts, being inside of a culture as this. And to a degree, I suppose, well, at least the voice of my consciousness is telling me that it is nothing personal towards anyone. Throughout infinite eons of centuries, as the ancientness of our souls collectively have bonded throughout the evolution and duration of time itself, as time itself withers, as sand quickly siphons and escapes through your fingertips, pulling down the gravity of the earth. There's one thing that I had ultimately realized in the continuation of reincarnation of our life, which was that of how there appears to never be a sense of belonging or acceptance among the vibration of frequencies and the synchronicity of the plane of our planet. Its desperation is derived regardless of how much or how many times we constantly trying to find a balance. It's that consciousness that constantly withers and delves itself into a spectrum in infinite eons of time, immaculating the grace of a divine providence, a light that harvests itself so much deeper inside the materialization or the transmutation of elimination, the elimination of darkness upon light and light upon darkness. In itself, the revelry is that of how so much of the account and documents of who I am personally and what I am, or what we are rather, as a shaman practitioner myself, as ourselves being theosophists and spiritualists, believing in the covalent bonds of human genetics, sharing between peaceful balance of coexistence, my shamanic faith and our path of spiritualism. How does that combine in its collective of coexistence with the cosplay community, or science fiction or fantasy or literature, you might wonder? Everything serves a greater balance of purpose, and whether if you choose to believe that or not, it is entirely up to your perception and your perception of will. Myself, the greatest struggle is not reaching the arms of death, or realms of the unexpected, or deriving a little less or a little more of breathing the air of being a human, sharing your immortality of your imperfection inside of its sinful nature as ours, or sharing a misanthropic state of consciousness. No, it is a little lack of gratitude, of a deeper understanding, compassion of the world. How our human nature somehow continues to rape humanity of each other, deriving each other, one another, of our mortality, of our virtues, principles, and a core of founding fundamentals of how to properly breathe, the necessity of continuing to project towards the light. And so much of ourselves as human beings, we continue to manifest violence, war, a self-chaotic destruction, instead of inviting inwards or internally ancient cosmic wisdom, or how to preserve mankind. And with Earth Day celebration arriving soon, I believe that in our philosophy, each and every single day should be Thanksgiving. Each and every day should be a celebration and a preservationalism of, or the conservationalism of the earth itself. And mankind is slowly awakening. It appears it's not happening soon enough than we might have hoped so. I always feel out of place everywhere I travel, except only a finite few percentage, which is a little less than 1% of a population or places of the world that I truly belong. I feel a sense of peace and serenity or balance, a sense of belonging, a sense of acceptance, of tolerance. And it's such a sad occurrence of how so much of how and everything that I reach out in the open invitation of arms and hearts on our behalf, inviting others to participate in Earth Day celebrations, of spiritual gatherings or what have you. And just with the exception of one, or rather in this perspective, it's a dear sister and brother to us whom had recently started following us inside the light of this journey. Their names are Brian and Stephanie, and such amazing human beings they truly are. And everything about myself or of us, we do not ever intend or desire or never will have or will have ever towards fabricating our message, fabricating our intentions and our desires. And we truly are of who and what we are, even behind the lens of a camera. Pardon me. And as myself being a perfectionist and a realist, I could honest to God tell you, under the grace of our Savior in the name of Jesus Christ, is that these two human beings that walked into our life, the platform of their belief, the structure of their mortality, of their virtues, they truly are astounding human beings. They were the only two people from my Facebook who actually had taken and invested that provided opportunity to drop everything that they were doing and stop of what they were doing, regardless of their busy schedule, to greeting us in person, for one. Secondly of all, to immaculate their time in such a perspective where they've taken that initiation, they've taken that incentive and that apt to reaching above and beyond, outside of the limitless boundaries of the borderline, to meeting us in person. Not only meeting us in person, that has just a small finite fracture, like something so small, something is so sliver of a deeper understanding of how to greater yourself as a human being. We live in such a society, a culture where, no offense, we idolize and worship fantasy things are fictitious, such as Star Wars or, God, just to name a few, certain video games or television shows. What goes on in the reality of Hollywood celebrities, or in this case, YouTube celebrities as well. No one's exempt of cosplay culture and different things, you know. It does not matter in the slightest whether if you believe in a divine creator, a providence, or if you believe in anything at all. The most important factor of all things is that you should always have a fundamental belief within oneself, within yourself, as well as the world around you, and how to envision your ideologies of your inspiration to delving deeper into the idealism and courage to change the world around you for the positive. How to better yourself and better others around you. How to planting the seeds of inspiration to helping others around you. And how to ultimately managing or finding that sustainability of self-grounding. Contributing towards a butterfly effect in every day that you should awake or arise in your life. And arise for a vision of something greater towards the future in every single day of your life. And that's the understanding that so very few even have an understanding for, let alone. It's deriving a certain nothingness into a deeper emptiness. And good people, good, honest people like myself, we are always constantly taken for granted. We're constantly overlooked. And until the world, at certain times, humanity, yes, fucking humanity, pisses me off so much to the point where I become itself a core of venom, a black tracing blood coursing throughout my veins in itself. And therefore that rises my darker side, the macabre of misanthropy. And people often wonder how I take so much time in the positive manner of my perspective, the divided half of my positive light and aura. How that is often, perhaps maybe at times, manipulated or taken advantage of in a way, to a degree. And that outrises the blackness of my nature, the resentment and disappointment, the utter tangible disgust that I share on the better half of myself towards the arms of humanity. Hashtag fucking humanity. Constantly are we, through the idols of materialism, we are manipulating, corroding, and destroying ourselves. The sooner we realize of how we could better ourselves, the greater our path of the future in a progression and awakening of consciousness that we could deliver and provide upon each other and throughout mankind itself. You know, there's so many people whom I know and that others know of ourselves who proclaim themselves to being friends of ours, and however, I never once received a phone call, I never once received a text message, or let alone a provided email of sorts, or to even be reached out through social media. And never are we ourselves invited to participate in gatherings, or perhaps something as simple as a photo shoot, or even simply to spend time, because everyone's much too wrapped up inside the bubble and protected vanity of their world, which, you know, myself, I could honest to God care less. I am the wolf who have become the leader of the wolf pack. I've hunted shadows for so very long and throughout my life, and that, honest to God, I am antisocial to those whom put so very little faith or effort into meeting us in halfway of a relationship. So, in which some might be confused in my venomous nature towards them. Just bingo. Ooh, got it. You have the option to better yourselves in every day of your life. You don't necessarily need to continue to drown yourselves beneath the core of the oceans of materialism, of blackness, of the sinful nature of our genetics, of human nature. You know, start getting involved and becoming active among your community and helping yourselves in that process as well. That ascension process, to rise above oneself, to rise like a phoenix. Interesting, we live in the state of Arizona and we have the name Phoenix, but people have so very little understanding of what the Phoenix bird actually is. Because what they understand is this concept of illusion of comic books, which is not reality. Which is the furthest thing from reality. It's one thing to being invested in a time, energy, and your passion and fire inside of a world that is full of mystery, that is full of a fascination, of imagination, something that is deriving a spark of creativity, and that creativity comes with responsibility. That responsibility is bestowing that upon each other through inspiration, through influence, positive influence, to spark even greater changes of life. The deeper delving into our purpose, developing our legacy, developing your legacy as a mortal being, developing your purpose. Rising above and beyond to become who you are, who you were destined to have become. Not to be enslaved to ourselves. We could collectively coexist shamanism, of theosophy, of spirituality, and imagination and comic books and different things together. But it seems like there's this imperfect borderline that cuts in like a knife to butter. It's just divided in half. And you know, I've been doing vending for different comic conventions and different venues for festivals and whatnot. It was like there's this awkward, bizarre state of conscience where it's dormant. You know, we don't pay attention to each other. We don't collectively bind like this. And that's an unfortunate thing. Spirituality, and whatever you believe in, depending on how you perceive it, is ultimately very much relevant and significant in every possible positive perspective, because without nature, without trees, without the abundance of water, it sounds cliche, but without a cauldron, without sage or God in our life, or without pendulums or different crystals and specimens derived from the earth itself, and we truly have no, especially honeybees. Of course, you cannot forget about them, or animals for that matter, or nature in itself, just all of nature, just the entire realm of nature. And we have no room, we have no existence. Simply to put, we cannot coexist, we cannot be alive, we have no existence. We cannot breathe the air, we cannot drink, we cannot survive, we cannot coexist. As humanity, we cannot continue to prolong another day to waking up another day without nature, without spiritualism, without all these things together. And yes, just to show my support for, the cosplay community and video game community, yes, I am wearing my Assassin's Creed shirt. So, don't get me wrong, please do not misconceive me or my words to saying that I'm against comic books and things of nature, or anime. God, no. I'm every bit for it. Every 110% all the way. Originally from Tokyo, Japan. Anime is a big part of my culture. Simply to put, what I'm saying is just straight contemplating of signing my resignation from the collective community. It's just been strange. Thus far, being vendors, I'd like to see more interaction of all different cultures combined together. And I've let so many people know of our spiritual gatherings and different gatherings, and I never get any reception for it. Everyone's always rushing off to comic conventions or anime cons. And what about spiritual gatherings? We need to consider and share our affection for all cultures equally. Equality through diversity. We need to become one and the same with every culture regardless. So, anyway, I'm finished with this video. Thank you everyone so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel. Please share our videos with others. And thank you everyone so much for, of course, watching as always, and your positive support. And apologize if this video offended anyone. As I said before, I'm a realist. I speak reality. I am point blank and honest. I never would fabricate or bite my tongue or the truth for anything, or personally from the convictions of what I believe and my perceptions. And I hope that somehow this video have inspired you in some way or another. So, namaste. Love you guys.